Gosh, grim news about what's going on in COVID. It's just grim.
Absolutely, definitely.
Are y'all going to be getting the? You're going to be getting the vaccine? Yeah, me too. That's what I'm surprised the amount of pushback though. If we want all of our stuff to come back, the sooner the better. I was saying we're going to go to Honolulu live tonight and talk about Wilton Manors in Honolulu.
Oh, I love that.
The Wilton Manors group.
Sign me up for the excursion when we go check in.
Exactly. And Eddie, you're with SAVE. That's exciting.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
And what do you do with SAVE?
I'm their field and community organizer.
Oh, cool. Well, welcome to Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only LGBTQ daily evening news. It's time to queer up the news. Tonight we report that 252 LGBTQ Americans died just yesterday of COVID-19, the single highest day of 2020. And we have the proof, President Trump, it's not like a miracle and it's not just going to go away. Then, in the big finish, Dictionary.com announces the word of the year. Can you guess? It's unprecedented.
Pornhub has announced the winners, and you will want to hear how you had to measure up to take the prize. And in the big finish, Crazy Florida does it again as we explain Python-sniffing dogs are Florida's newest weapon in fighting invasive snakes.
Then we're going to tell you how you can go to the prom live with Ryan Murphy and the stars of the film. Finally, in the big finish, we discuss how Christopher Walken has never had a life or never owning a computer or a cell phone.
So good evening, LGBTQ world. It's 7 p.m. Thursday, December 17th, and we are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight. The world's first live daily queer evening news show. Out of the closet and into the headlines on Q News Tonight. Well, thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. This is a live, unedited LGBTQ evening news show. Whatever happens in this broadcast now, you're going to see it. This evening, we bring you the news of and a perspective representing the LGBTQ community from South Florida, America, and across our world. I'm your Queer News Tonight anchor, Al Ferguson. And tonight, let's welcome anchor Eddie Marti Kring. He is a lifelong community organizer and a human rights advocate. Eddie left Cuba at the age of 6 to immigrate to Miami when at age of 16, after coming out to his family as gay, he experienced homelessness before being adopted by a caring family. Eddie currently serves as the field and community organizer for SAVE, Safeguarding American Values for Everyone, one of the most important LGBTQ human rights organizations and South Florida's longest serving LGBTQ rights advocacy organization. Welcome, Eddie. Next, let's welcome anchor John Romano. He is the owner of Other Worlds Therapies in Fort Lauderdale, where he works as a licensed massage therapist and instructor of over 30 years. He has served as the massage therapy team leader for the LGBT fundraising event, the Smart Ride, since 2010. John manages Facebook groups, including the very popular Wilton Manors group. Welcome, John.
Thanks. Welcome.
Well, tonight we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Thursday, December 17. Let's begin by queering up entertainment. Kate Freeman, out trans woman, won on Jeopardy this week. Lake Orion, Michigan, Kate Freeman won on Jeopardy. Friday night, she wore a trans flag while doing so. Freeman, who is a trans woman, won $5,559 in cash on the show. Freeman graduated from the University of Michigan and works as a financial analyst. It had been her dream to appear on Jeopardy since she was a child. The final Jeopardy category was Broadway revivals, with the question being about West Side Story. None of the contestants got the final Jeopardy question right, but Freeman ended the night with the most money. She said she was proud she could bring a little trans representation to the show, saying, quote, "I spent a lot of time learning about and reflecting on my gender identity in grad school, coming out as transgender and lesbian a few months before graduating. I'm proud to be out, and I know representation is important," end quote. Some believe she is the first out trans person to have competed on Jeopardy.
And now it's time to queer up entertainment. Attend a virtual prom with the filmed cast and more. This Saturday, everyone can go to the prom. Queer Eye's Jonathan Van Ness will host the prom. Tonight Belongs to You, with performances by Janelle Monáe and DJ Galantis, as well as cameos by the cast of the film, streaming live at 8 p.m. Eastern Saturday on Netflix YouTube channel. Van Ness said, quote, "Everyone deserves to be celebrated, loved, and appreciated. So come join us and bring your unruly heart and definitely your zazz hands," end quote. Prom director Ryan Murphy and stars Jo Ellen Pellman and Ariana DeBose will also further introduce the Unruly Hearts initiative, born out of their collective collaboration on the film. The Unruly Hearts initiative is for anyone who is driven to get help or inspired to be a good ally. The initiative connects young audiences with trusted organizations that advocate for LGBTQ+ community and youth through resources for housing, insecurity solutions, mental health, mentorship, and professional development. The Prom, now available on Netflix, is set in a small Indiana town where the PTA cancels the high school prom rather than let 2 LGBTQ students attend. The film stars Meryl Streep, James Corden, Nicole Kidman, and Andrew Rannells.
I actually haven't seen it yet. I've heard a lot about it. Probably going to try and queue it up at a friend's place to try and see it.
I saw it on Saturday when it premiered, and it's fun. Every LGBTQ joke ever written is in the movie, which is funny. And when I watched it, I couldn't help, and when Eddie was talking about this story, I couldn't help but going, wait, all Eddie is saying over and over again is Mike Pence, Indiana, Mike Pence, Indiana, Mike Pence, Indiana. That's what it's about.
Well, I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. You had me at Meryl Streep.
Y'all do have gay cards, right? You have gay cards?
Yeah.
Just
Mike
double
keeps
check.
getting taken away from time to
Yeah.
time.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so let's queer up gay culture. All the LGBTQ+ winners from Pornhub's 2020 awards.
Oh, you got my attention now.
Wow.
Of course. Pornhub held its 3rd annual Pornhub Awards this week, which was live streamed to fans around the world due to the pandemic. Literally, everyone was invited. This year welcomed a slew of guest presenters and performers like legendary filmmaker John Waters, Violet Chachki, Jordan Firstman, Tommy Cash, Real Housewives of New York star Leah McSweeney, City Girls Dee Nasty, and Azuna. The winners were decided by real data from Pornhub.com, which according to its website brings over 140 million daily visitors and over 55 billion searches. Half of those are from Al. No judges or deciding committees were commissioned to choose the winners. Rather, winners were decided based on what users searched, viewed, and sought after the most this year. And if there ever was a year to be stuck at home watching porn, it was this one. Top winners included Rourke Goodell is the top twink performer. Vanessa Vera Cruz is the top lesbian performer. Zilv Goodell is the most popular gay male performer. Daisy Taylor is the most popular trans performer. Austin Wolf is the top daddy performer. Natalie Mars was voted favorite trans model. Joey Mills was voted favorite gay model. Check Hunter is the most popular gay channel. Gender X is the most popular trans channel. At Queer News Tonight, we couldn't agree more. In COVID-19 pandemic, Pornhub was one of the bright spots for the LGBTQ community.
Well, you know, before we broadcast tonight, we talked about these stories, and I just want to let you in on a little secret. John Romano was exceptionally excited about Jordan Firstman. He was just over the moon that he was one of the presenters in the show. It's a staggering number of views that went to Pornhub in 2020. It's just staggering to me, the number of searches and the number of watches and the number of views. What are people doing with all of that time while they're on Pornhub? I just don't get it. Oh wait, yes I do.
Well, I hear the performances are mind-blowing, and it's probably, there's a lot to be said. You know, check hunters, huh? There really is so much going on out in the woods.
We'll just leave it at that. That was good. Good.
If you want to call it mind-blowing, okay.
Right, Eddie, you're going to do fine at Queer News tonight. Let's queer up politics. Broadway All-Stars deliver stunning Georgia on My Mind video for the runoff election. Watch this. A stellar group of Broadway talent has banded together for a recording of Georgia on My Mind to support Stacey Abrams' Fair Fight organization to get out the vote ahead of the Georgia Senate runoff election on January 5th. Appearing in this Who's Who video is literally Who's Who. Audra McDonald, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Josh Gad, Indina Menzel, Billy Porter, Philippa Sue, Jenna Ushawatz, Vanessa Williams, Ben Platt, Rosie Perez, Bernadette Peters, and more. The stakes of this election are high and will determine whether the Democratic or Republican parties assume control of the Senate as President-elect Joe Biden takes office. The video seeks to raise funds and awareness of Fair Fight's goal of making sure every Georgia voter has the resources and information needed to cast a ballot.
That's absolutely right. There couldn't be more at stake, and we've got the perfect opportunity with Save. We're phone banking on January 3rd, 4th, and on Election Day the 5th. So please join us.
For Georgia?
For Georgia. We're making calls
awesome.
to help pro-equality candidates make their vote plan and make sure they cast their ballot on Election Day. So we could use your help. South Florida is mobilizing, and we've got folks from all over the country who are plugging in with Save virtually right from home. It's easy, you'll be supported with the community, and we're gonna help human rights and democracy win on January 5th.
I just think that's a really good idea. That, I mean, just bringing all those people together is just fantastic.
If it's an outside chance, but we've got to work really hard. But if we, if Blue and Biden can win those two seats, the next 2 years for sure are going to be dramatically different than if we lose those two seats. So help support getting out that vote, regardless of who you vote for. All right, and Eddie, we're going to do a story next on religion.
All right, it's time to queer up religion. Over 370 religious leaders call to end conversion therapy and anti-LGBTQ+ violence. Watch this.
We come together as senior religious leaders, academics and lay leaders from around the world to affirm the sanctity of life and the dignity of all.
We affirm that all human beings of all sexual orientations, gender expressions, and gender identities are a precious part of creation and are part of the natural order.
We affirm that we are all equal under God, whom many call the divine, and that we are all therefore equal to one another. We call for all to be treated equally under the law.
We call on all nations to put an end to criminalization on the grounds of sexual orientation or gender identity, for violence against LGBT individuals to be condemned, and for justice to be done on their behalf.
We call for all attempts to change, suppress or erase a person's sexual orientation, gender identity or gender expression, commonly known as conversion therapy, to end, and for these harmful practices to be banned.
Faith leaders from around the world have joined forces to support the well-being of LGBTQ+ people and to call for an end to the harmful practice of conversion therapy. The Global Interfaith Commission on LGBTQ+ Lives has organized more than 370 religious leaders from at least 35 countries to sign onto a declaration that unequivocally supports the LGBTQ+ community and advocates for an end to the violence that often stems from faith-based bigotry. The initiative is supported by the Ozane Foundation, a charity that works with religious organizations to challenge the anti-LGBTQ+ discrimination. The declaration affirms that all sexual orientations, gender identities, and gender expressions are a precious part of creation and are a part of the natural order. In addition, the document laments and expresses regret for long-standing religious teachings that have caused, quote, deep pain and offense, end quote, to LGBTQ+ people, perpetuated injustice, fueled intolerance, led to family and faith-based rejection and alienation, and resulted in violence. Notable signatories include human rights activist and South African Archbishop Desmond Tutu, America's The Trevor Project, and LGBTQ+ suicide prevention nonprofit praised the declaration from the Global Interfaith Commission on LGBTQ Lives and noted the negative mental health outcomes and increased suicide risks that stems from faith-based conversion therapy.
Now, let's queer up the world. Hungary ramps up to assault on LGBTQ+ community and bans rights. The Hungarian parliament just passed legislation and amended their country's constitution to effectively prevent LGBTQ+ people from adopting children. Under Prime Minister Viktor Orban's ruling, right-wing Fidesz party, the measures passed Monday by a vote of 134 to 45 with 5 abstentions. The new measures codify a binary redefinition of a family, restrict adoptions only to married couples consisting of a biological man and a woman, and require single people to obtain a special exemption from the government before adoption. David Vig, director of Amnesty Hungary, said, and I quote, "This is a dark day for Hungary's LGBTQ community and a dark day for human rights. These discriminatory, homophobic, and transphobic new laws rushed under through the cover of the coronavirus pandemic are just the latest attack on LGBTQ people by the Hungarian authorities," end quote. Right-wing Prime Minister Viktor Orban has demonized the LGBTQ+ community as a means of solidifying his base of supporters. Earlier this year, the government adopted legislation that based a person's gender on their sex assigned at birth.
Well, that is our queer headlines for today. So let's catch up on the LGBTQ news surrounding COVID-19 with our special segment called Quarantine Quickies. Tonight, we report the devastating effect coronavirus has had on the American and worldwide LGBTQ community in total deaths and cases. Let's queer up Quarantine Quickies. Could 252 LGBTQ Americans have died yesterday of COVID-19? And why are we not talking about it? Watch this.
But the COVID death toll is mounting, with more than 110,000 people hospitalized, 76% of the nation's ICUs full. In California, Governor Gavin Newsom is preparing for a surge in deaths.
53-foot refrigerated storage units are currently standing by now in counties and at hospitals. We just had to order 5,000 additional body bags.
The hope is that this vaccine will finally extinguish this fire that's been raging.
Well, health officials continue to stress that we are not yet in the clear, that this virus continues to spread, partly due to asymptomatic spread. But some good news on that front from the FDA today is they authorized a COVID test that you can take at home, receive results at home within 20 minutes, all without a prescription, and it's said to be 91% accurate, even among asymptomatic cases.
The U.S. on Wednesday reported the highest number of new cases of the coronavirus and the most COVID-19 deaths since the pandemic began. As of 1:30 a.m. Thursday, more than 3,600 Americans died Wednesday from complications of coronavirus, according to Johns Hopkins University, which is tracking coronavirus infection data. Data from the COVID-19 tracking project revealed more than 230,000 new coronavirus infections and showed 113,090 Americans were hospitalized with the virus, a number that's been significantly on the rise since December 6. America seems to be having a wave on top of a wave. This data, based on standard acceptance of the American LGBTQ population percentage, means likely more than 252 LGBTQ Americans died yesterday of COVID-19. Queer News Tonight has repeatedly reported the queer community has been more adversely affected by coronavirus because of the effects of industries that they're employed in, like entertainment, service, including restaurants and bars, travel, and more. Cases, hospitalizations, and especially deaths are likely a greater percentage in the LGBTQ population than the general population. There seems to be little study, however, or analysis of the statistical effects of COVID-19 on the LGBTQ community. But at Queer News Tonight, we draw attention to yesterday's record day of the harm of this pandemic, and very likely more than 252 of our queer brothers, sisters, and non-binary family were lost yesterday. As 2020 comes to a close, we remember.
Absolutely heartbreaking, and it really speaks to the work we all have to do to protect one another and get through this pandemic as a national community.
Yeah, definitely, and I would probably say that there's even more than that, because I mean, you have to figure out, how many people aren't even out or haven't come out of the closet or anything. So I would think that number is probably even higher.
The most important, I think, news of what happened yesterday being at record peak. First off, Donald Trump, we're never going to forgive you. Ever in our entire lives, we're never going to forgive you. And second, wear your mask. And the first opportunity that you have to take the vaccine, I hope you seriously consider taking the vaccine. It is very important. Well, that is our COVID-19 news for tonight. Next up, Queer News Tonight is proud to launch our brand new Thursday night business professional segment we are calling NetWerQ, where we will highlight and network live with LGBTQ business leaders, individuals, and organizations. And make sure to follow Queer News Tonight and all of our Happening Out Television Network shows, now also on the business and professional and employment-oriented online service platform, LinkedIn. Tonight's segment is on South Florida's only LGBTQ community foundation that promotes a culture of philanthropy by uniting donors with organizations advancing LGBTQ issues in Broward, Miami-Dade, and Palm Beach counties. Our Fund Foundation. Watch this.
The Resilience Fund, along with gifts from donor-advised fund holders, allowed us to make nearly a $500,000 investment into South Florida's LGBT community in just the first 2 weeks of April, at a time when it's needed most. When we get through this, the light at the end of this tunnel will be brighter than we ever imagined. We wish you and those close to you health and wellness, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for making a difference.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your help.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Our Fund Foundation is a 501c3 organization dedicated to securing the South Florida LGBTQ community's future by promoting and increasing responsible philanthropy, strengthening community organizations and their leaders, and connecting donors to causes that matter. As the previous executive director of the Gay Men's Chorus of Washington and of the Stonewall National Museum and Archives, David Jobin has overseen financial growth of the organization from $2 million in assets to $20 million in assets, allowing our fund to expand its impact on LGBTQ serving agencies. Recent initiatives also include David launching our fund's COVID-19 Resilience Fund. the SAGE at South Florida initiative, the redesign of the Fall Leadership Forum, and the development of the Howard Greenfield Memorial Lecture Series. To tell us a bit more about Our Fund Foundation and its many contributions to our local community is Our Fund President and CEO, David Jobin. David, welcome to Queer News Tonight.
Hi, thank you for having me here this evening, Al.
David, I want to jump right in. Very few LGBT organizations can say they have $20 million worth of equity, short-term and long-term impact in any community, much less in the South Florida community. Tell us a bit more in terms of an explanation of what Our Fund is designed to do for the community.
So we're really built along the traditional community foundation model. 10 years ago, a group of activists and philanthropists here in South Florida recognized that there was a concentration of LGBTQ wealth here that we wanted to capture and make sure that it worked for future generations, that we didn't let that go to long lost relatives or to the government. And they were really responsible. And you know, what's really amazing about the $20 million figure is that we achieved that in 10 years. We're already the third largest LGBTQ community foundation in the country. And you know, at the rate we're growing, I anticipate we'll be the largest in another 10 years.
David, I want to blow your own horn for a second. I have done countless stories in 2020 as we end this year. COVID-19 has affected the LGBTQ community unlike any year in our lifetime. You're longer than my lifetime, I suspect. That's kind of a joke in terms of age. But we've never seen anything like this year, and I've done so many stories about the effect it has on our cultural organizations, our gay culture, our 501c3s. In a year where it's been hard for 501c3 LGBT charities to even open their doors, Our Fund has been there to help support them in really dramatic and unique ways. Kind of summarize what Our Fund has done on an emergency basis in 2020. And by the way, all of 2020 probably could be categorized as an emergency. What has Our Fund done?
So we really feel as though we were built for this moment. Never did our founders imagine that we would experience the pandemic and the national kind of catastrophe that we've all lived through the past year. But because we have these assets in hand, we were able to make an investment in the community at a time when donations from individuals were really drying up. We were watching really valued nonprofits in our community. It was almost difficult to keep their doors open. I mean, we remember what those initial months were like when people's, you know, they were watching their 501c3s collapse. Gifts really dried up to these agencies, and we stepped forward with a resilience fund, $300,000 we invested in the first 4 weeks of the pandemic, and then we returned to the resilience fund in November and reinvested another $300,000. And on top of that, we've also helped guide another $1 million of the donors who are associated with us. We've helped guide their money back into the community. So it feels really rewarding to be able to respond to this crisis in this manner.
It's an amazing number. I just have to take a highlighter and underline it. Between direct contribution to 501c3s that needed to pay an employee or keep their door open or keep the lights on, and indirect support of push to supporters of Our Fund, a $1.6 million contribution to South Florida 501c3s in the last 10 months. It's simply astounding what Our Fund has been able to accomplish.
Thanks. It feels really good to be able to do this work at this moment.
Yeah, that is the understatement of 2020 in South Florida, David. Let's zero in on how you make that happen. There's a phrase called legacy giving, and how people actually participate in supporting Our Fund and making this happen in our community. Explain to us how legacy giving works, what it is and how it works.
So legacy giving, what it really comes down to is that, you know, the old phrase, you can't take it with you. And the word legacy for me sometimes is a little off-putting. I always think of the show Dynasty. It makes you think that you have to have 7, 8-figure, 9-figure estate that you're leaving behind to make a difference. And the fact is, the sale of someone's condo or their car at their passing could really make a difference in a smaller organization. So what we do is we talk to philanthropists about the values that they live their lives by and how they want to see that paid forward after they're no longer here. I will say with absolute certainty, every time we have this conversation with someone, they walk away with being so fulfilled and so satisfied and relieved that this has been taken care of. I always say, in a small way, we all do this on the back of our driver's license with, that we're an organ donor. Think about what the feeling you would get if you knew that the sale of your home, the sale of your retirement would help benefit the community that you love so much. So the way we were able to make the difference in the community during the pandemic is that in the last year, 3 individuals have passed in our community who left us a total of $10 million. It's an astounding amount of money, and all of them lived rather modest lives. You would not know from how they lived their lives that they had this asset base that they were sitting on top of. And we often say that people can make a much larger difference in their community when they're no longer here, if they just will take the time to sit down with a community foundation like our fund and take these steps to make certain that we can take care of the things they leave behind in the manner that they want us to.
Legacy giving, you heard donors and that very significant amount, but I imagine in legacy giving it could be $25,000, it could be $50,000 when you pass. That's not really a requirement. There are no threshold amounts.
Not at all.
Somebody meets with you and talks about how the plan would be, and they can participate with David Jobin and our fund. Is that correct?
Exactly. It's a really simple conversation to have. All we really talk about is what matters most to you. It could be an agency, it could be a cause, and then we put together a really simple document that just makes certain that when you pass, whatever money you leave to us is donated to the community in the manner that you want it to be.
This is not very, our fund's structure here in South Florida. Overall, across America, we know about community foundations in many, many, many communities. But the R Fund model in LGBT, it's not really that common yet in the United States, is it?
It's not common. There are, I would say, a handful, maybe 5 highly functioning LGBTQ community foundations in the country. A number of community foundations are adept at handling LGBT causes and being able, they're of that community. But not all community foundations can manage that. Some have very conservative boards of directors, and you're not certain if, as a gay person, if you leave your money to a community foundation, that it'll be spent in the community in the manner that you want it to be.
In the way you want.
Right.
Well, we have listeners all over the country. I imagine, and I encourage you, if you're in a place that doesn't have the benefit like we do in South Florida of an Our Fund, reach out to Our Fund here in South Florida and David Jobin, and I'm sure that they're going to give you great recommendations of how your LGBTQ community can do something starting similar to this. And also, South Florida LGBTQ community, one of the reasons that I embrace this conceptual idea is, I advocate voice of support of our 501c3s. I just have never seen anything like the impact that our fund is able to do in propelling 501c3s in support. We're going to be in years where COVID doesn't exist, right, but we've proven how important our fund is in the greatest catastrophe health crisis in our history. So if you believe in supporting our LGBTQ community, this is core mission for you. So reach out to our fund. And in that reach out, David, last question to you. Give us very specifically how to contact our fund and contact David Jobin.
So go to our website at our-fund.org. All of our contact information is listed there. And I think you said it, Al. We can also help anyone in any part of the country, either through our fund, or we can introduce you to your own community foundation and make certain that they are equipped to deal with LGBT causes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, David, we're really happy that you've been with us at Queer News tonight. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's to you. And let me be one of 340,000 LGBTQ people in South Florida that will finish 2020 and actually be able to completely say to you, we are so grateful to our fund because you've kept alive 501c3s and charities and organizations that will need to serve our community in 21. You provided the bridge to keep them in place. So congratulations to you.
Thanks so much.
We're very happy to have you at Queer News tonight. Next, let's report at Happening Out Television Network our deep commitment to the support we were just talking about on our LGBTQ community. An example of that is Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. We are broadcasting from our permanent set in supporting that partnership. The network broadcasts the largest LGBTQ religious broadcast in the world, with more than 30,000 people watching every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and it's totally live. We encourage you to tune in. Our campaign of sponsorship proudly supports Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church. Watch this.
Hi, I'm Athena Dion, drag performer known from performing on South Beach and in Mykonos, and Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
Yes, and we would also like to thank our set designer, Concepto Modern Living here in Fort Lauderdale, for making this set in this amazing queer church campus possible.
Finally, we thank Queer News tonight's hotel sponsor, Best Western I-95 Fort Lauderdale. This is the closest and best choice to the famous Wilton Drive, and our hosts and guests stay at this LGBTQ ally partner. We encourage you to stay there and when you're visiting South Florida.
Absolutely. Well, next up, because of the pandemic, Queer News Tonight has been focusing on supporting our local community. Local business, local charities, and 501c3s, local restaurants and bars, and more. Tonight, we are happy to be spotlighting our local South Florida LGBTQ Facebook groups in finding out just what's important to them and just to see what they are talking about on social media. And tonight, we are pleased to feature the Wilton Manors group, featuring nearly 8,000 members. Its founder, Bustamante, is a web designer and content manager for a marketing agency raised in Miami, and now living in Hawaii as a military spouse, and we're getting ready to talk to him in Hawaii. His Facebook group has created a community for all of its local businesses here in South Florida and those that live here to be able to have a voice and connect along with the group's moderator. Who is the group's moderator again? Remind me. Oh yeah, I remember now. Queer anchor John Romano. Joining us tonight to talk about the Wilton Manors group is Bustamante. Welcome, Gio.
Hi guys, how you guys doing?
Thank you. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me.
Mahalo to you.
Mahalo.
I love Hawaii. A lot of people are immediately going to be shocked. And first off, Gio, I can't believe you and I have not met in person before, so this is great for me. People are going to be immediately shocked that the founding organization of the Wilton Manors Facebook group in Wilton Manors, Fort Lauderdale, the gayest place on planet Earth, is based in Oahu. They're immediately going to tell us a little bit about that. Did you started it here and then you moved to Hawaii?
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, I grew up in Miami and then moved up to Fort Lauderdale when I was, I guess, 23 years old, 24 maybe. But originally born in Peru. So that's when I decided to start the group, because I overheard a lot of people saying that we needed a platform where people can interact and promote local businesses in our LGBT community. So that's why I decided to create a group back then. I didn't think it was gonna get that big at first, but you know, me moving around a lot and getting married after, I I'm grateful that John is part of this group as well, because he's been helping me out a lot, since I can't always be there. I mean, I lived in Texas for 5 years, and I want to do whatever I can, even if I'm not there, to help our community, and, a successful LGBT business is if you see us business as LGBT and that becomes successful, I'm proud of that, when I see people in the LGBT community succeed.
John, you're moderator of the Facebook group. How long have you been the moderator?
I don't know, a little bit before he moved to Texas.
How many years?
At least
5 years, maybe.
By the way, John, I don't know if you remember, this is a live television show.
I don't remember how long it's been. It's been a while. I mean, if he was in Texas for 5 years, it's longer than 5 years.
A long time. Well,
here.
all right. So, so we have the founder and we have the moderator. It seems to me that Facebook groups, LGBTQ Facebook groups like this, really serve a vital function. Not only can they be social, and let's face it, that's super valuable in social interaction. It can be a step down. It's not Grindr, but it can be a step down from that in meeting people. But it really helps propel conversation and what's going on in the world in terms of news. Frequently, I get lots of my news that I report at Queer News Tonight. Secretly, I steal it from Wilton Manors Facebook group. So you propel news, and then you propel what's going on locally in the community through charities and organizations, cultural events, and how to support local businesses. It seems to me that a local Facebook group like Wilton Manors Group does exactly what we want to do at Queer News Tonight, which is promote, shop, buy, and live local. Right? That's your primary goal of what you're doing. What caused you to think of this in terms of why Wilton Manors need it? You heard people say, "Oh, we need this kind of thing," but what propelled you to do it?
Well, I've always been a big time supporter of small businesses. I think small businesses need it more than any other business out there or corporations. So my main goal is to have people go to a mom and pop's LGBT business rather than going to Walmart. I mean, if you can find it, if you can find your neighbor selling something or starting his business, why not support your own community rather than going somewhere else or a corporation that, they have a lot of money, So that's why I wanted people to be able to interact and people to be able to do cross marketing and promote their own little businesses. And if, like I said, if I see LGBT businesses grow and be up there, then it makes me really happy to see that. So that was my main goal,
And we actually we've had people in the group who've said, like they just moved here, they wanted to meet people, they're going to be going bowling on this day at this time, and they've actually formed groups, and one group of friends actually formed a gardening club and stuff like that. So, it's been really beneficial in helping build communities.
That's I think an awesome story. I'm curious, do you have much that you have to manage that is inappropriate in the group?
Yes.
Yes. Tell me a little about that.
I am so grateful. I'm so grateful for John because, I'm in Hawaii and we're like, our hours difference is really far away. So the fact that John is down there, and I'm so grateful for him because he's been helping out so much, and it gets wild there because so many different views. There's a lot of Trump supporters and Biden supporters. So it's like you always try to you want to keep everybody happy and keep everyone from fighting each other at the same time. We're a community at the end of the day. We're one family and we all fighting for the same purpose. So that's what people need to remember at the end of the day.
It's a delicate balance. John, you have any stories since Gio just told us you're the front line or the tip of the sword?
Well, one of the things that we decided to do is, we want to keep a sense of community without, really bitter arguing and stuff like that. So, I mean, when somebody goes to join, they have 3 questions that they have to answer, and the third one they have to agree to. But, I mean, we've decided that we weren't going to put politically sided posts on the group because we didn't want to cause that much of a divide. I mean, announcing who's running is one thing, but saying, oh, I definitely want to support this because they're not killing this or doing that or whatever. We said, if you want to talk about that if there's somebody that you want to talk to about it or debate about that, do that on your DMs or create your own group for political stuff. But, let's try and keep that out of this.
Well, everybody at Queer News Tonight is really happy to be able to do a segment like this because first, we can embrace that Facebook groups like this for the LGBTQ community are very valuable for our local community because it's the most direct. It's like a town hall. Your town hall meeting of 8,000 people. That's an amazing opportunity. And also, this is great for Queer News Tonight because we are really happy for those 8,000 members, and we encourage other people that are listening, go to the Wilton Manors group and join and follow because it's a great opportunity to interact in the South Florida community. And it's great for us because we can put both Gio Bustamante and John Romano in front of all of those members. All of the people that you get unhappy with and get mad at the Wilton Manors group, now they're sitting right here in front of you, and this is what they look like. They're not anonymous name in the group anymore, so we can put you right front and center.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts about your group? Anything that you're hoping for 21?
Well, I want to share some news though. I'm actually building a platform for the Wilton Manors group to help small businesses or all of the Wilton Manors businesses get more customers. I know we understand that, during the pandemic, a lot of places had to they struggle with keeping their doors open or getting as much business as they used to. So we're building a platform for Wilton Manors, and we're hoping to launch it sooner than later, hopefully January, early January, hopefully.
Make sure you come back to Queer News Tonight, and we'll make sure that we tell that story. So, Gio, we send our greetings to Hawaii. We're probably in the only place. Oh, and
cheers!
Very nice. Now I'm jealous as all hell.
I follow. No, listen. Somebody gave me an advice earlier. Said, take a shot or have a drink.
Yes, exactly.
So you won't be nervous.
Exactly. And you watch Al frequently on these products because that's what I do all of the time. Gio Bustamante from Wilton Manors Group, John Romano, moderator. We thank you very much for being with us tonight at Queer News Tonight.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
See you, Gio.
Absolutely. We end tonight's broadcast with the big finish. We're going to end the show, our news broadcast tonight, with silly news that entertains the LGBT community. All right, here we go. The big finish, unprecedented. That is the name named People's Choice 2020 Word of the Year by Dictionary.com. What do y'all think?
Wow. It kind of sounds like unprecedented, which is a very good thing that I like to hear right now.
Yes, I would like that word too. Doesn't unprecedented really say everything about 2020 in every possible way? Bad news, COVID news, presidential news, the norms of our government, the norms of our social lives, the norms of you can't have sex. Maybe some of us did have sex, but whatever it is, it's unprecedented. Isn't that what 2020 is really going to go down in history as? I think that's the big news of the word. In the big finish, okay, we pull this right out of the crazy Florida file, and that file is about 52 feet long in the filing cabinet. A Python-sniffing dogs program is Florida's newest weapon in fighting invasive snakes.
Well, I want to know, can I take one of those dogs out to the bars with us?
Do they screen out for size of the snake?
Wait, did both of you tell dick jokes? Did I get that? No,
why not?
I'm only kidding.
Richard's a good
a lot of people may not know, we have a big python problem here in Florida. And it's because people brought in these invasive snakes as pets, and then they got too big, and of course, what would they do? They would just let them go in the Everglades. Makes sense. Just totally makes sense.
Not cool.
Crazy Florida. The big finish. I don't know how this guy does this. Christopher Walken has admitted he has never owned a computer or a cell phone.
Yeah, I give him a lot of credit.
Well, that's why the party never starts. He never knows when it
Yeah,
does
exactly.
Does anybody imitate Walken? I love his accent.
No.
How can you live without a computer or a cell phone?
Yeah, very difficult.
Very simple.
It's just beyond.
Very simple living. I like it. Sometimes you have to
Christopher
unplug.
Walken is clearly not gay. Clearly.
We can
Because
ask the
there's
Amish.
no way you guys would live without your grinder or your scruff.
What's that?
It's impossible. It's just absolutely impossible.
Is that a Bible study app?
Yeah, that too. All right. Well, that's the end of the Big Finish.
Okay, that's it for today's news for the LGBTQ community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ evening news show. Is our community important to you?
Then help us by liking and subscribing, ring the bell for updates, share this news. We are the only television live video news that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support.
I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and on behalf of anchors Eddie Marti Kring, and first time that you've sat down as an anchor seat, you've done a great job. And of course, John Romano, who has been with us before, you've done a great job also. We see you daily, every night at 7 p.m. Good night, America.
Good night.